Alright guys, welcome to the Board Game Geek Beginners Tournament, Game 2 between Gurdijieff and Groove, and I'll be your caster, Jess. This time we've got Groove playing the runner and Gurdijieff as the corp, and we'll be having NBN Core versus Noise. Alright, everyone's been quite kind reviewing their hands to me, so let's see. The corp starts with Tollbooth, Beal, Bernice, Draco, Wall Static. It's not a terrible starting hand. The runner starts with a Quality Time, Deja Vu, Parasite, Mimic, Yogg. He'll opt to mulligan that. I think that's alright. He didn't have a lot of good economic options there. And I think this is a much better starting hand. Starting with the KD and the Grimoire. Great stuff. Our corp will keep. I think this is fine. He's got a trap and 2 cheap ice, and Draco is pretty effective against, or when you're playing as core NBN. The question is always how many power counters do you want to put on it. So the threat of Parasites and Mimic is very real against an Anarch player, especially against Noise. So he'll draw into another Bernice. This is alright. There's a nice interaction with Bernice that you can actually put them both in the same server. It's just a unique card, which means you can't have an active instance of it, or 2 active instances of it at the same time. So you can actually bluff, because it's just another upgrade. You can put it into a server where you already have a res Bernice, and make him run it again. So let's see. I'd like to see the Wall of Static onto R&D. Instead, he'll put the Draco on R&D. I think Wall of Static is stronger here because it's a bit more durable than the Draco. The Draco at the end of the day is probably not going to have a lot of power counters on it, probably easier to trash, and it's just a trace. So if the runner is rich, they can pay to break through it. Wall Static is solid stuff. So for a runner here, he's going to lay down the Mimic right off the bat. I think this is good. It really protects you against the Neural Katana and other early game dangerous sentries. And this is also going to force the Draco to have a lot of power counters on it. This is also why I think the Wall Static on R&D would have been better. This is a pretty strong opening play by our runner here. So he will res the Draco, and he's got to put 4 on it if he wants it to... Yep. So 4 power counters, and now he gets to do the trace 4. So this is going to work out in the end for him. Runner really has no choice but to just take the tag and end the run. He has enough to remove the tag, but it's going to set him back a little. He'll have to get KD out next turn. So what I'd like to see him do here is remove the tag and then run HQ. A worst case scenario is it's a pop-up window, but you know, it's not bad to face check a pop-up window. And so it'd be kind of interesting here if he hadn't laid down the Mimic first. If he'd run R&D, I wonder how many power counters that our core player would have put on it. I think 4 is definitely the smart option because of the threat of Mimic and also Parasite. It still would have been interesting. Now our runner is tagged, but Corp has no tag punishment at the moment. Still, he's got resources, so he's going to want to get rid of those tags. And he's going to go for HQ. I think this is pretty good. He can't res it, so he won't res it, and he'll get a free access. Unfortunately, he doesn't have enough credits to trash either the Bernices, but with a 1 in 4 chance, he is 100% guaranteed to hit that Project Beal. It's just how it usually goes. Both games here we've seen the runner be very aggressive early game, and I definitely like this. There's not a lot that can hurt you early game. Like taking the tag is one of the worst things, honestly. Neural Katana is the worst, but not a big deal. You can deal with tags much easier than you can deal with the 3 damage. And he's got the Mimic out, so really he's not threatened by any of that early game ice like Shadow. And there we go, he reveals the Beal, as I predicted. So that's a free 2 points on the board for our runner. The core player can't be happy about that. With his final action, I'd just like to see him remove the tag or take a credit. Removing the tag is probably better. It'll slow him down a bit to remove the tag and then next turn spend all that time getting credits to put out Katie, but our corp is at 1 credit, so his next turn is probably going to be triple credit. And he'll remove the tag. I think that's the right play. So our corp player is in a pickle. He spent all of his money resing something that's not doing him a lot of good in the future. Good thing he did res it though, because he draws into a restructured data pool. And so, as I thought, triple credit. He needs some money. And stalling here though is really going to help our runner. That Katie Jones is going to pay off big time if he can get it going. I think the right play for our runner here is just take the 2 credits, lay down Katie, and then use Katie to start building up her credits. Instead he'll draw, and he sees a sure gamble, and so that really hurts. He just doesn't have the money to, really he's not anywhere close to getting that sure gamble out. At this point I'd kind of like to see just a triple credit. He could set up for next turn by doing that, and then get the sure gamble and Grimoire out on the turn following that. Well, let's see what he wants to do. It's always tough as the runner when you're forced to click for credits. You want to be using two credits per click efficiency generally, and we'll see how he does it. At this point, laying down the Katie doesn't make sense. He could play the Data Sucker just to start the mill, but he'll opt to take a credit. I think that's a fine play. And boy, he really should have played that Data Sucker, but he couldn't have known. Our corp has now seen his 2nd restructured data pool. He's probably using 3, so this is unfortunate. He's got no ice to score that behind. It's just so dangerous in his hand right now. I think he has to just click 3 times for credits. I'd like to see him put down a Bernice on R&D just to put a threat of an upgrade there. So this turn I'd like to see him spend his 3 clicks getting to Sure Gamble and then using Sure Gamble, and then he could draw or he could lay down the Grimoire. I think drawing is probably the better option, but we'll see what he does. He'll instead opt to lay down Katie. This is also fine, but having that buffer of credits after using Sure Gamble would have allowed him to lay down the Grimoire and play a couple viruses while he builds Katie up. I'd like to see him draw here, but he'll take some credits instead. Our corp's in the bind, and let's see what he decides to do. Draws into a TMI, and this is good. Better to see it turn 1 when it's most likely to successfully res. The corp player's still in a bind. I'd like to see that TMI go down either on a remote or on archives. The toll booth is really expensive and it's much better protection, so I think the TMI on archives is probably better. Better to preemptively ice archives against noise. You don't want to do it after the fact. He'll opt to put the TMI down onto the remote, and he will lay down a Bernice. So he's trying to bait him in here. I don't think our runner is going to bite though. He's got a lot of stuff, a lot of setting up to do. But still, it's very dangerous to run on an unadvanced face down card, because that could be an AstroScript. So first things first, our runner is going to lay down the data sucker, and he's going to mill a hedge fund, and that really hurts. Our core player would have loved to see that. Then he's going to run archives. I don't like this play. Running archives when there's only one card there is not really lucrative. You're basically doing a virus install and an action to see the top card of R&D. He's getting more of it because it's a data sucker, so he gets a token. Now that Draco is not nearly so threatening, he could just run R&D here and then use Katie for his last action. I think that would be pretty strong. Now that Draco is really looking like crap, and although there's no corroder on the board, the wall static is still it's still a better option than what he's got going on. So Noise realizes that he sees the hedge fund, and then he'll run R&D. This is a smart play. Now, unfortunately for him, he's probably not going to get anything because our corp has already drawn 2 agendas, and so seeing 3 agendas in the top 10 cards that's quite a lot. There's probably not going to be as dense an agenda pack coming up. So now he'll need to use the data sucker token on the Draco, pay to break, and access. This is a great turn for our runner. He's got it all going on. He laid down some more of his rig, getting to see the top 2 cards of R&D, and getting some economy as well. And just some friendly banter between them. I'm still wondering what he's going to see on top of R&D though. Successful run, data sucker gets another token, and here comes the 3rd restructured data pool, am I right? No, but it's an AstroScript, and that's even worse. That could have been scored. Wow, this is really unfortunate for our core player. That's 4 agendas in the top 12 cards? 11 cards? And he mandatory draws into another agenda. This is rough. He's got a decent set of ice though to protect the breaking news behind. That TMI is actually decent. Unfortunately, it's just a trace at the end of the day, and with Katie Jones, it's really hard to out economy a runner. Now, the card in the remote server hasn't been acted on, so our runner can probably safely assume that it's not anything truly important. He could lay down the breaking news, but that's going to really signify that the card he just laid down is something important. We'll see if he goes for it or not. If you could pull off a unadvanced breaking news and then next turn advance, and then trash Katie, he's right back in this game. He's going to opt to put the other Bernice on R&D. I think this is pretty good. With the Draco being there, that R&D is really not looking so protected. And he will lay down the breaking news. This is good because if he does manage to pull off the combo next turn, all 3 clicks would have been advance, and then trash, and then he would have had to discard something. So by laying down 2 cards, he's avoiding that possibility. Wait, I'm thinking about it all wrong. He would have been fine. So our runner is going to draw. He sees another Yogg and a Deja Vu. I don't think he's going to run that server since he didn't use Katie. But he really needs to use Katie like right now. He needs to take the money off of her. Otherwise he's going to be really, really unhappy. And this is a common problem against MBN. You can't let Katie get built up too fast because breaking news is a huge threat. And I've even had games where I used the C-Source just to take out a Katie. And it's absolutely worth it, because if you can set the runner behind economically, then it really feels hopeless sometimes as the runner. You just spend all this time gaining credits by clicking for it, and it's not efficient at all. Unfortunately, I don't see a way for a runner to get into that server no matter what. This is unfortunate. He's going to build up KD more, so this is just a wasted action. And then he will gain a credit. And our corp is going to be quite happy with this, I think. It will draw into a marked accounts. Unfortunately, he can't really get that down. He's got more important things to do this turn. He'll score the breaking news, and Katie is going to go off to wherever she came from. I think that is absolutely the right play here, and he will do it. And this is a really great turn for the corp. So next turn he could lay down that marked and start gaining some money. He needs to make sure that he can score one of those restructured data pools. If he is able to successfully score one of those, he just might lock this game down. Groove will spend his turn taking money and then using the sure gamble. This is where doing that earlier I think might have been more helpful. But it's okay. He's not in a terrible spot, but he lost his long-term economy. And so our corp draws into another agenda. This is really, really unfortunate. He's not drawing anything but agendas, it seems. He'll lay down the marked counts. I think this is good. It's kind of unfortunate he has to lay it down unprotected because Imp will just wreck it. But, Noise has to draw into the Imp or get a Jin out, and as long as it goes on for a couple turns, it's worth it. It's our runner's time to shine, and I'd like to see him draw here. He could also run R&D, and that would be quite useful. He'd be able to see what that upgrade is, and so long as he doesn't trash it, he can't, or the court player can't res the Bernice that's in the remote server. He'll draw and he'll see a medium, and I think this is like all systems go on R&D runs. If I were the runner here, that's immediately what I'd be thinking. Sure enough, he'll lay down the medium. And he nabs a wall of static, and that's really unfortunate. And the run ice would be looking so good right now. So he'll go after it, and I definitely would like to see the Bernice get rezzed here. No need to keep it hidden. And then our runner will be poor again, but it'll cost him everything. This is fine. 3 to trash Bernice, 2 to remove the tag. And because it's core MBN, you can't just beat the trace and have it cost the same. I kind of like that interaction with Bernice. Looks like they're having just a few technical issues. I'm sure they'll work it out quickly. Groove will take the tag. And something I always forget to do when I'm running on Centrals is actually accessing the upgrades in them. I definitely want to see him trash the Bernice and not forget to do it. Because with that medium out, our corp needs some more protection on R&D. Like it's true, he's already seen a lot of agendas, but with the way things are going, he's probably going to see a lot more. And you can't let a medium get out of hand. And they're just working it out. And he sees the top card, but doesn't get lucky. Which, boy, our core player is probably really happy about, because there's been a ton of agendas so far.
trash Bernice, and then he should remove the tag, but at this point he's got no resources, so it doesn't really matter so much. You don't know what kind of tag punishment our core player's running. So far, haven't seen anything, and so instead he's gonna just run R&D. I definitely like this. Just go for it. Like, at some point tags don't matter, and if you're not using resources, then tags really don't matter. Scorched Earth is a threat, but Scorched Earth costs money, and he's got 4 cards in hand, so just one won't kill him. Now he'll see the top 2 cards, and the R&D luck is gonna get stronger. Now, unfortunately, our runner is a bit low on credits, and so now I gotta wonder, and he gets an agenda, of course. I gotta wonder, if he trashed the Bernice but didn't remove the tag, then why trash Bernice? If you're just gonna go all in on tags, you might as well just go all in. And it's really either you take a bunch of tags or you take none. One tag is generally just as dangerous as 20, and the only exception to that is really psychographics, but psychographics is not easy to pull off. So turn will swing back to the Corp, and he really needs to draw into some ice right here. He needs something that Draco is not doing anything. Pop-up window is only going to stop the bleeding. It'll be slightly more expensive for our runner to run R&D, but when his economic options are this limited, every little bit counts. So I'd like to see him put down that pop-up window. At least do something. He could also draw, and with the amount of agendas in hand and the amount of agendas that are on the board, he has a pretty good chance of drawing into some ice. Anything here would be great. Wall of Static, Enigma, anything. Anything that ends the run is something he needs right now. It looks like he's going to put the toll booth on top of the Draco. I like this. I forgot he had the toll booth in hand, and that's strong protection. Unfortunately, our runner has the Yogg in hand, but it just makes it that much more expensive to run R&D. Even if he gets the Yogg Data Sucker combo going, that's 3 credits every time. It's really the most expensive thing Anarch Breaker's ever run into. He'll take a credit, and I'd like to see him run right now, before he gets 3. Now, he could also run on HQ, because there's a lot of agendas piling up in HQ, and with this is great. So our core player, I feel he's not going to res it, and he probably knows that there's less of a chance of R&D having agendas, and if he reses the toll booth, he's at 0 credits. Noise can just hit HQ all day long. And so last turn, I think it would have been the stronger play to just get rid of the Draco. You lay down the toll booth and then take 2 credits. He would have had enough to res both the toll booth and the... No, actually, he would have been short. Would have been short by 1. So, yeah. I wonder what our runner will do with 2 credits. He'll draw. Sees another Data Sucker. And you gotta wonder if he wants to just lay that down to trash the top card. Or he could take some money. He still hasn't dealt with that tag. And so I gotta think that he just doesn't care at this point. With 6 points on the board, I think ignoring tags is fine. One way or another, this is gonna end quickly. I'd really like to see him run HQ. Just force the Corp to spend some money. So he will lay down the Data Sucker, and let's see what he wanted to trash. A green level clearance. So actually that's pretty nice. That would have given him some money and access to a bunch more cards. All 3 of those cards. Then it's our court player's turn, and he'll draw into a mid-season replacement, and that's not doing a lot for him at this point. With 6 agendas on the board, if the runner ever steals another one, it's game over, so mid-season's a dead draw. The runner's at 0 credits, but he needs to protect R&D, so he's got no choice but to just get some money. He has the power to score that restructured data pool because that TMI is actually a really strong defense on that remote. He just doesn't have the money, though, to really get it going. Noise will take 2 credits, and then he'll run R&D. This is smart. The toll booth won't hit him if he does res it, and he will. So he'll just bounce off. Last click here, I'd definitely like to see an HQ run. Yeah, they're doing it right. It might be his first time experiencing that, though. Oh, I see what they're talking about. It's really dire straits for a corporation player here. But that wall static is solid defense. There's no corroder on the board, and really he has to draw into it. Runner draws into a Grimoire. If he hasn't laid it down by now, he's been really too poor to lay it down. Doesn't really need to. Corp draws into a Chilo City Grid. So it looks like he's going for some kind of tracer deck with a lot of tags. And I gotta think if he's got all these means of adding on extra tags, then he's probably using psychographics, especially with the mid-season here. Now, unfortunately for him, psychographics doesn't do anything when there's only 1 tag. So that 1 tag is mostly meaningless. Marked accounts has definitely paid for itself at this point, though, and it's probably never going to be trashed. He will opt to lay down the pop-up window on top of the TMI, and I think he'll just take some money. So the next turn he can go for the restructured data pool score. You know, a couple turns and our court player could actually pull this out. So our runner, he's got to get rid of a data sucker if he wants to play the Yogg, but he's got to get up to 5 credits first. So it's going to be a fairly slow game. So this is great. Our runner's going to run HQ, and this is just going to set our court player back even further. He'll res the wall static, and that's going to be great protection for now. Doesn't tell a whole lot about the board state, because wall static is pretty cheap. You'd want to res it pretty much no matter what. Our runner can assume there's an agenda in HQ, especially with the way he put a ice on the remote server setting up for the next turn. But forcing him to res that is really painful. It means that he's going to have to delay another turn before he scores something. So he puts down the green level clearance and sees an Ouroboros. I'd like to see the Ouroboros go down onto archives, just to have something there as a threat. Instead, he's going to put it on HQ, where he won't be able to res it, and he's kind of telegraphing that there's a lot more in HQ than you'd think. So our runner can't get in anyway. I'm not sure why he's overprotecting it, especially when the runner's at memory cap and at very low credits comparatively. But we'll see. Runner's just going to go after archives. See some cards, but he won't get anything out of it. And he really needs to get that Grimoire down if he wants to lay down the Yogg and not give up a Data Sucker. He's just so poor right now. And you always got to worry about closed accounts, which is, I think, one of the best tag, if not the best tag punishment out there. So money is everything. So playing the Grimoire and then gaining some credits, I think, is the right play here. And this is where the toll booth is really strong protection, even though he's using Yogg, because it's 3 credits. And there's really, you can't ask for much better than that. In fact, there's nothing better. I wouldn't mind seeing our runner draw here as well. He has an extra Grimoire in hand, so he could have opened himself up to more options, but instead he'll do the smart play, safe play, and just lay down the Grimoire and take 2. Corp draws into a Draco. This is not a good piece of ice. It's easily broken by Mimic unless he spends a lot of money to pump it. I think this is a dead draw, and I think he should have gone for the agenda, but instead he'll put the Draco on archives just as a bluff, I think. Also potentially strong if he does a virus clear, but that's a lot of time, and I'm not sure it's really worth it. Well, the next turn he could do a virus wipe and wouldn't be a bad play. Our runner will take some money. Yogg is expensive, and so he can't run this turn. Definitely like to see him draw up to 4 or remove the tag with only 1 credit. So he's going to run R&D, and this is going to do nothing for him. I don't think he understands how toll booth works with Yogg. If he doesn't catch it, then I'll kindly remind him. This is a wasted action, and that's good for our corp. So here's where the Scorched Earth wins the game. Let's see if he draws it, if he's even using it. And so far, haven't seen anything out of faction. So I gotta wonder where it all is. That really means Scorched Earth is a good possibility, because by now you would have seen, something. And he's going to triple click in white viruses. This is pretty good. His centrals are pretty clear now. Draco is pretty strong. Wall static is decent. Ouroboros is good. Things are looking good. He'll trash the mid-season because he knows it's useless. And suddenly our runner is in a precarious spot. He'll draw into a Parasite, and that's great. This makes the Draco less effective. But it's still, he can't get through that toll booth, really, no matter what. He's going to run archives, and I think this is actually pretty strong. He's going to force him to res the Draco and spend a lot of money on it. There was no hidden cards in archives, but with 2 data suckers out, you can't just let them get into archives for free. So we'll make it a 4 strength Draco, and I'll do the 4 trace. This will be another tag for our runner. And at this point, really, I think you just don't want to bother removing tags. It takes so long to get rid of them. So much time setting up. Not worth it. So now with his last click, I'd like to see him draw
Or he could run. He still hasn't run that remote. We could try to force a res there. Instead, he'll lay down the parasite. And, wow, there it is. He is using a Scorched Earth. So there's the Scorch that would have won him the game last turn if he'd drawn. Unfortunate. So when you're running Scorched Earths like this, and the runner has less than 3 cards in hand with a tag, like, if you haven't seen one yet, and you've already gone through 25 cards, then just go for it. Like, just draw, and hope you get that win. So he'll lay down the marked accounts, activate it, and I don't know, I think he should just draw. Like, what's he waiting for? Scorched Earth would win him the game here. The runner's in a really bad spot. He doesn't yet know that there's a Scorched Earth in this game. Or at least there's the possibility of Scorched Earth. Got really lucky with that virus install to hit the Scorch. But now it's really unlikely that he'll die to it, because there's probably only 2 Scorches left, and he's got to hit with both of them so long as our runner maintains 4 cards in hand. And now he's playing it smart. He's staying above 4. Our Corp draws a 2 green level clearance. I gotta wonder if his influence is 3 Scorched, 3 green level. You saw one of those earlier. An anonymous tip. I actually really like this card. A lot of people don't like drawing as the Corp, but I think it's pretty good. You need the right card for the right situation. And sure enough, if he had drawn the last turn, he would have won with the 4 damage kill. Instead, he'll lay down the Astroscript in his power server, which is actually impossible to get through for our runner at this point. And he'll just keep that drip economy going. It's alright though. I think our core player is actually going to lock this game down. The wall of static is gone. And actually, it'd be pretty strong here for the runner to run HQ, thinking that if he runs HQ, then if he runs the remote, Corp won't be able to res the ice. Unfortunately for him, though, it's an Ouroboros, and that first trace is going to really ruin any thoughts of that. Yeah, and it looks like that's what he wants to do. So, thanks to the drip economy that our core player is using, he's going to be just fine all across the board. So this Ouroboros is not going to get broken, and both the traces are going to succeed without having to pump. So I definitely like to see him not use the credits here and save them for a Draco. So no more runs this turn, and he's going to end the run. So he opts to use the 2 credits here, and I don't really know why. Now that Draco on Archives is suddenly a Trace 2, which he can get into and get 2 Data Sucker tokens on if he wanted to. Not exceedingly likely to do that, but it's there, and he didn't need to do it under Ouroboros, so... He's gonna parasite the Draco, and I think he'll probably run.
He hits a pop-up window, so he won't be able to win off this. But he gets in for a credit, and he gets 2 data sucker tokens, which means that once he gets some more money, he can start threatening R&D again. You can also threaten the HQ, because Ouroboros is just a 4-strength sentry. It's my biggest complaint about the card. It's pretty low strength. Yeah, he made a mistake here. He's trying to run archives, but he got hit by Ouroboros, so he can't do that. It's an illegal action. I think his best play here now is just to gain some more money, but he'll draw into a quality time, which is really doing nothing for him here, and take credit. And Corp draws into the Scorch, and yeah, it doesn't really mean anything at this point. He doesn't have enough money to get the double Scorch, so I think the best thing you can do is just... Yeah, so there it is, the double Scorch. But he just does not have the cash, so I definitely don't want to see him use it here. Unfortunately for him, it's all right. He can win this game if he just gets a little bit of luck. A runner doesn't have many viruses. He could try to trash some and then use Deja Vu. But with nothing in archives right now, he's probably feeling pretty safe. I think I'd probably just lay down the marked accounts, or take 2 credits. There's no need to do anything fancy or risky here. Just take the money, trash the psychographics and marked accounts, and close out this game next turn. Groove is telling him he's going to run archives, so he's definitely not going to trash an agenda. He's going to draw again. I don't know why he's doing this, because he's only opening himself up to having agendas in hand or on on top of R&D. But he does see a wall of static, and he puts that onto archives. And so that's actually really good right now. But unfortunately, rezzing it is going to cost him more money that he can't use on the Scorched Earths. So next turn he'll get up to 6 credits, and that'll be good enough to win the game, assuming he doesn't have to res the wall of static. A runner doesn't know it, but he's on a real time bomb here. He needs to keep the Corp below 6 credits, or at least below 5. Even after marked accounts, because he could just click credit and then 2 Scorch. But now it's really looking like our Corp is going to win this game, because runner is shut out from centrals pretty easily, and it's just not looking good. So he opts to take a credit and use quality time. I'm not really sure what he's hoping to find. He sees an Armitage code busting, but with tags, that's not very efficient. Sees a Data Sucker, medium, lots of great cards. And he finally sees his Corroder, but just not feeling it. You see a Special Order. That's pretty nice, but I'm not sure why he's using it in a noise deck. I think there are better options for finding what you need, namely the quality time. I think is usually more than enough. He'll take a credit, and I really hope he doesn't lay down the Armitage. Well, it doesn't really matter. Like, normally that would be a bad play because the Corp could just trash it thanks to the tags, but this is going to be game here.
And our court player's got to be feeling good. He's even taunting him a little. And here it comes, the double scorch. Yeah, I don't really like this. He's really rubbing it in, and I think that's poor sportsmanship. So that'll be game. Flatline victory. And this looks like a pretty old school style NBN deck where you just try to survive with NBN's kind of wonky ice and go for the triple scorch. Lots of tagging, psychographics, scorch for the tag punishment, and that's all there is to it. Good game, guys, and we'll see y'all next time.